back to Y254 TV. Thank you for still sticking with us. This is Y in the Morning, hashtag Y254. That's the same hashtag we're using across our social media handles at Y254 TV, at Y in the Morning on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I just want to remind you that there is a question of the day that we are asking. So please go on our social media handles, answer that question of the day, and we will be very grateful. We are on that segment. Vala amesema tukirudi segment tusijaribu kuongelelea hiyo maneno ya Bible tena, and because I do not want to rushiwa mamawe, let me just keep off that story of Bible. But anyway, oh my God, nini nizo nasema. But anyway, we are on Empowerment Cafe, our very first conversation this morning on Y in the Morning. And this conversation particularly, I'm having Stacey Sang, who is a lawyer, a model, an entrepreneur. Oh my God, she is a jack of so many trades, and she, wacha tu atuambie hizo vitu zote zenye anafanya. You know how we do it? We welcome people on Y in the Morning with a style. Karibu.
Asante sana.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're pretty.
Oh, thank you. It's the Lord's blessings.
Wacha tumeamua tusirevisit story ya Bible.
Ya Bible.
Unataka tu
tunaweza ongelelea kidogo. Niliwaona mkitafuta Peter na Peter iko kwa Bible. Mulisahau kuna first na second Peter.
She has come back. I thought she will not be here on this part of the conversation. Oh my God.
Yes.
Wacha nikwambie. Tunatafuta Peter.
Niliwaona, mulingangana Peter. Mukatafuta hakuna, hampati.
Bala tukumbuke Peter ni apostle. Wacha tufanye hivi. Unajua after leo utaenda home. Mimi nitabaki hapa. Nitabaki na Vala. So because I do not want to wahala. Wacha tuachane na hiyo story ya Bible.
No problem. Yes.
But anyway, who is Stacey?
Stacey Sang is a lawyer. So I'm actually a student I'm finishing my studies at Kenya School of Law, diploma in law. I'm also a professional model. I do runway.
Your height can tell.
I do runway, I do commercials. I've done a number of commercials on TV. I also do fashion, and I'm also a content creator in that side as a fashion model. Then I'm also an actress and an entrepreneur.
My Lord.
Tunafanya vitu mingi.
Hii Kenya mwezi survive. This, I know, nasikia mtu anasema pressure. The pressure is getting worse.
Increase. The pressure increase.
So, sasa tuanzie wapi? Tuanzie modeling, tuanzie content creation, tuanzie entrepreneurship, tuanzie law. Where do I want to take off this plane from? I'm thinking, what fueled your passion for law? Let's start from there.
So what fueled my passion for law? As a child, so as we were having a conversation, you told me you always wanted to be a journalist. So for me, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. And not just because I'm a lawyer, daktari, and engineer, but because I've always had a heart for people. And law is a career that helps me advocate for justice. So I always wanted to be in a position where I can actually help people by advocating for justice. So I've always wanted to be a lawyer ever since I was a child. I'm not much of a reader. I don't really like reading a lot, because a lawyer is expected to read a lot, but I really love the aspect of being able to speak out for those who can speak for themselves. That's why I went in that career path.
What aspect of law would you want to practice or excites you?
I think human rights. I am a human rights, I'm an activist. I really love advocating for the rights of humans, particularly children. I love advocating for the rights of children, especially education. That is why I'm actually doing it even as a Miss Universe contestant, because I feel like there's so much we need to protect, and those in power can actually do it. And yeah, I can be those in power.
If you don't mind my asking, is there something in particular that pushed you to want to fight for the rights of children?
Not really anything in particular, but as a human rights activist, as a whole, I really have a heart for people. I really hate seeing injustice. So when I see people not being able to go to school because of poverty that can actually be handled and sorted out by our leaders. When I see people not even having money to access good health care, when I see wars, especially now, what is happening in the world, it really pains my heart that we cannot do so much about it, but at least we have the law that can try and do something about it. So that I just have a heart for people. I have a heart for children. I love children so much. Yeah.
Okay. I'm being told we need to take a very short break. Then we are coming back. So please stick with us. Back. We apologize for that few technicalities, but we are back and we're still in the conversation with Stacey Sang, who is a lawyer, model, and an entrepreneur. In case you're just getting to join us, that's where we were at, and we aujami sana umepata tu tukiwa hapo tu kwa introduction, as she was saying what fuels her passion.
Yes.
Kukumbusha kwenye tulikuwa, sometimes people get sometimes people get it. Unajipata uko a bit ka break. You know the way me personally I get distracted very fast.
Oh yeah.
So when you tell me something and then ukatizie hiyo story upotea.
Umesahau kabisa.
Tunaanza story ingine.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about your passion for human rights. How would you define, because I think tumesema human rights and then atuku define human rights in your own knowledge and understanding. How would you define human rights?
I believe human rights are the rights that we have as a human. They're inherent in you, like they're inborn in you. So, for example, like the right to health, the right to the freedom, the right to education, right to a clean environment. All those are rights that we have just by virtue of being a human being. Yes. So, and those are actually the rights that need to be protected, the right to life. And that's why kuna kwanga na conversations are abortion or not abortion, because actually the right to life is something that is inherent in a human being. Yeah, and I'm a Christian, so as a Christian you know that we have been created by God and God has given us the right to live. So such conversations are what describes what human rights is. Yeah.
Okay. Why are they important?
They're very important because they make us who we are. They make us who we are. They make us who we want to be. They protect us. Because, for example, the right to life will protect us from being, just killed or our lives being taken by anyone. Right to education, it helps us to be able to actually access education, especially for children, so that mtoto asifungiwe nyumbani just because they want to access education the parent doesn't want. That's why there's that right. So it really helps us live dignified lives as humans.
So which I think you had mentioned, other than education, what other rights are you interested in? Or it's just purely education?
Not purely education. I think I have an interest. I actually studied humanitarian law, which is law which governs how wars should be governed. And I actually think I have an interest in that area. I think the only thing that is making me not go towards that direction,
you don't want to read.
I'm not reading. I'm scared for my life because having to fight for human rights in war-prone areas can be life-risking. So that's the only thing that's making me maybe not pursue it as much, but that is something I'm interested in. Because actually, did you know there's actually laws that guide how wars should be done? Like how the army should protect civilians, they should not involve civilians. Maybe if the enemy is injured, first things first is ensure that they're taken care of, and then maybe you arrest them. Like they're actually laws, international laws that guide how wars should be done. But I think it's only in the books. So tulisoma tu shule, but in real life.
Do you know, mara mingi tuliambiwa tulikuwa tunasoma for exams.
Yeah, by the very true.
And then we leave school, we get out here, we need practical knowledge, and we do not have it. What are some of the challenges you've experienced? Where wakamba tunanga H na? Please forget. Assume you didn't even hear. But anyway, what are some of the challenges you've experienced in your human rights activists?
Some of the challenges. So I've not been really active yet, but it's something I'm passionate about. But some of the challenges, as I've said, for example, like the one on humanitarian law, is the life being at risk. I would really want to speak out against such injustices, but then sometimes I'm afraid because you might speak up against the wrong people, and then you're disappeared. Sina reference anything, but yeah, there's that. Other challenges, I think the fact that we live in a society where there's some people who actually think they are higher than others, and therefore don't really have that respect for the rights of others. So as much as the right is there, it's not supposed to be denied. As much as you want to talk about it and advocate for it, there are people who will always put you down. They'll put that agenda down. So human rights activism is a very hard area, but with the right people and the right passion, I believe, a lot can be achieved, and a lot has already been achieved in that area. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you engage the community? Because I think now you contesting for Miss Universe requires you to do some of the things people. Okay, I'm assuming venye nimekuwa nikiona, or the little interaction I've had with people in the modeling Miss something, they always have a cause they're championing. For you, before I assume that for you, out of what you've said, it's championing for children to get education. You can probably tell us what you want, what you're championing for, so that I'm able to ask you how do you involve the local community.
Okay, so before I actually get into what I'm actually championing for at the moment, I can talk about what I have been doing in my life.
Yes.
So apart from today's show is modeling with a purpose. So apart from my modeling career, I love doing a lot of volunteer work. I serve where I go to church. So I do a lot of missions. So actually,
You're a missionary.
Yeah,
like I relate because I'm a missionary. So I'm like,
I do a lot of missions. So actually, when I was a child, nasemanga, this is a bragging right. So when you go to Rongai, the police station, there are actually trees. We're one of the people who planted those trees when we were children. So now when we see them, they're grown. They're actually very proud of ourselves. So I love volunteering such things, taking care of the environment. I love going for missions, and in missions we go spread the word. Apart from spreading the word, we actually encourage the ladies, the young girls, we talk to them. I've gone to very many schools in very remote areas. Zile mnafika, atufiki, mko shwari, mnajua mali tunaenda, just to go and empower the young kids, take some needs to them that they might require for school. So I really love volunteering and giving myself to such causes. And now coming back to my main cause for education, at the moment, I've been talking with a few people on partnership in terms of enabling young children get education and quality education. So there's actually a friend of mine who runs an NGO in Kibra, and she sponsors young kids in school. Around school fees, I think it's around 1,500 or 2,000, something around that. And she also provides like essentials like bags, books. So I'm actually thinking of partnering with her in that project. I've been talking with other people who are actually dealing with special children with special needs. And something very important I think I can share right now is that in terms of education, most of the time we look at education in terms of, and actually that's what I started with, in terms of ensuring that like there's good classrooms, ensuring that children are not overcrowded in class, ensuring that there are essential books and all, enough teachers, but we really forget the children with special needs. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was telling me how, imagine a child in a marginalized area. So not tunaongelelea poverty, right? There's this child in this marginalized area, and they are poor, so they cannot access education. Now imagine a special needs child in a marginalized area. Wow. First of all, that community most probably does not even accept the child. And if they maybe accept the child, sana sana, they are not even allowed to go to school. They cannot access education. And we say education is power. Education opens doors. Education has opened so many doors for me personally. What about that child? So if we can steer this conversation to find a way in which we can actually reach out to such children and ensure that they actually get education. The other very interesting thing is that there are very few teachers who have studied and specialized in special needs teaching. So imagine now to make it worse, hakuna mwalimu. So how do these children, how can they get to have the opportunities we enjoy, as normal people, for lack of a better word? So it's a very interesting area, and as a Miss Universe Kenya contestant, this is something that if I actually become Miss Universe Kenya, or even as I continue this journey, it's something that I will actually love to look into and find ways to actually remedy the situation. Yeah.
So that's what you're championing for? Yes. All right. So that brings me to the question I wanted to ask you before we got to that point. How do you involve the local community in your advocacy over children, their rights, education, and all that?
First things first is conversation, because information is very important. Because if you do something from a point of no information, then you're not doing something important. So I try as much as possible to have such conversations with the people around me, with the people I serve with the people like the models around me, so that we can raise awareness for such things. The other thing is, on a personal level, I try as much as possible to engage a few schools to find a way in which we can help in such situations. What else do I do in terms of the community? I also take part in a number of meetings with people around the community for such things.
Amazing. So are there strategies you use to raise awareness?
Strategies
within and without the community. Like you see now, there's the aspect of the community around the children, and then even now your personal networks with people, with media, so many other people, like all factors included. What strategies do you use to raise awareness?
The good thing, we're actually living in an area where social media is a big thing. So one of the ways I use to raise awareness is actually on my social media platforms. From WhatsApp to my Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram. I'm starting to be active on TikTok. So
TikTok Gen Z.
So actually using these platforms to actually raise awareness, to share the word, because Kitambo, without the social media, I could only maybe have a conversation with you. But then now with social media, I'm having a conversation with you. So many people are actually watching us right now. Kuna mtu sahi atakuwa YouTube, itaenda Instagram. So it will reach a wider audience and ensure that the message is heard, and change starts to happen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you measure impact now that you have a way that you do strategy? Of course, when you've done your strategy and you've created awareness, there's a way that you measure impact. Is this thing, what's the impact? Are we reaching out to more people? Are we making an impact in the society? So how are you able to measure that?
Okay, in terms of social media, I think because now now the disadvantage of social media, you might not necessarily know if the right audience has been reached and if actually they've been impacted, but at least social media helps in terms of the metrics and all to see anyway the word has gone around. In terms of at the community level, seeing how many people who actually start talking about it, that is one way we can measure impact. And then also, for example, like the friend of mine who has an NGO, the more people we get to enroll their children in school, that's also another way we're seeing that anyway this thing is working. People are getting the conversation and actually want to continue empowering their children by even taking them to school. Yeah.
Amazing. So does the hey, watu wanasemanga vitu kwa ground ni different. I think that's question imekuja hivyo in my mind because others are like vitu kwa ground ni different. But then again, does the social media and engagement translate? Because now we are of course you've said we are in an era where social media is very loud and big and everyone is on social. But does it translate to impact kwa ground? From your experience, does it translate to impact kwa ground?
Yes, from my experience, very much yes. It, depending on the situation at hand, it might be slow, it might be fast. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to use this example, but not from my personal experience, but you can see what has been happening in Kenya recently. We can see how social media actually really created the impact, but from the socials, mpaka ikakuja kwa ground. So social media can really help. And from me, I have seen, depending now on the situation, it can really bring fast change or slow change, but they still change, and that's what we need actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate through cultural and political issues when advocating for rights, especially their communities? I like what you said, that you go to those shules huko ndani, and so in those some of those communities kuna their parents, their people. It's sad. I was in Turkana a while back, and it's sad that there are communities that have not yet embraced education. They've not yet embraced modernization and civilization, and they still live in their archaic, mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, I was looking for the word mindset.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate such cultural or political biases while advocating for these rights?
I think the best thing one could do is at least find a local, because in most of these areas you'll actually find 1 or 2 or even 5 locals who actually know the conversation, actually want to make a change in their communities. So if you can find a local who can resonate with your ideas, then now the local can help you, be it the chiefs, be it like even people who just gone to university in that area, who've actually broken the barriers in their areas. They're the ones who you can actually reach out to try and reach out to the communities. Because the thing is, when you're coming as an outsider. So as much as I'm coming to tell you, peleka mtoto wako shule, wewe unashanga, who is this? But if someone from a community who has actually broken the barriers comes to tell you, Mom, please, this is important for your child, then now that creates that change. It creates it plants a seed, and that seed will eventually grow and now create change in that community.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we shift gears a bit to your modeling side.
Yes.
What made you be a model?
Oh, modeling. I think also passion. When I see, so my first instinct when it came to modeling was I always wanted to be a runway model. So when I see Kina Naomi Campbell do a catch on the runway, I'm just like, I used to be amazed, like, wow, I want to be like them when I grow up, because it looked like such a glamorous like thing. Like, hey, modeling with is fun. It's really fun. I really enjoyed it. So when I was a child, I always wanted to step on the runway, and I actually think that it is an innate talent, because my ever first show, I actually never had done any modeling training. Like, ilikuja tu. Ilikuja tu. So I think it's something that's really in me, and I really, really enjoy it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you have experience, by experience, I mean, are you those ones that walienda shule wakasomea, or?
No, hatukwenda shule tukasomea. As I've said, I think nilipata iko ndani yangu because I actually went for my very first show. I just went to the audition, did the audition and actually got the show. From that, like sikuwa nimefanya any training and all, like watu walikuwa nasema najua kukatwalk, like it's just, I think it's just in me. So I've never gone to any modeling school. I've always done it freelance. But then the good thing about it is, as you join the industry, whenever now you're about to do a show, there's training. So that's how I've actually been growing, depending on the shows I'm doing here.
Tell me a challenge you faced when modeling.
Oh, a challenge I faced with modeling. There are a number of challenges, but I think the major challenge which a lot of people know and talk about is issues on body shaming. Because I was actually quite slimmer than this, and when it came to, I got an international agent at some point, so I was supposed to be placed internationally, but then I was actually being told to continue losing my weight. So at first I actually was adhering to it. I started fasting and working out and doing all those things, but then it got to a point it became really depressing because I'm doing these things and I'm still being told bado apana, continue, like lose bado. So it got to a point I actually told myself that apana, I can't do this anymore. If God is the one who's given me this gift, he's the one who's going to open the right doors, and I'm still going to be an international model and nothing is going to stop me. So at that point now sasa nikatana around because it was not healthy for me.
Wow. So you left them?
Well, I'm no longer with the agent, but yes, I'm no longer with the agent, but I'm actually working as a freelance model. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I don't know how I want to ask this question. I have to be sensitive. But then again, what I wanted to ask you was in the line of, is it a myth? But then again, you've said it, and I'm like, so how do I even ask it?
Just
like,
ask
is it a myth? The story, I lose weight, be like this, look like this, look slimmer, or look, you know, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the myths that surround modeling? And then you just talked about the weight issue, and I was like, am I allowed to talk about it?
No, we can talk about it because I think the good thing is that now the society is changing. I really thank God the society is changing. We're seeing more inclusivity even in the modeling scene. In runways, we're seeing people with variety of body sizes on the runways, even for the biggest brands. We're seeing variety of people, even in pageants. And something very interesting about actually Miss Universe. Before, Miss Universe actually had an age restriction. You couldn't be a Miss Universe contestant if you are a parent or a mother necessarily. So now they've opened it up. We've seen...
Why not?
I don't know. I think the standards. I think the industry standards. Because Sunona the same way, like internationally they wanted you to be a certain size. Then I think things are changing pole, and we thank God for that. Because even, for example, like last year, I think Miss Universe 2023 Nepal, she was the first plus size Miss Universe. And it really opened the scene for inclusivity, even in such a scene. So I'm glad that things are changing pole. Even for our Miss Universe Kenya right now, they're not looking, the theme for Miss Universe Kenya is beyond beauty. So they're not only looking at your beauty, your body shape, body size, what else do you have to offer? And I'm glad to see this change in our industry. Hata kama ni pole, I'm very happy to see it here.
How well do you communicate with others?
How well do I communicate with others in terms of?
In terms of, you know, for you, I believe that modeling is not just about catwalking. You have to communicate. You have to have interpersonal relations with people. So how has, or rather, let me rephrase that question too. How has modeling shaped the way you relate with other people?
First of all, in terms of runway, I didn't really have the need to relate with others because runway is very, unakuja, showcase the clothes and you go back home. But then when it comes to pageantry, you actually have to relate with people because pageantry is all about, for example, like the Beyond Beauty. It's beauty with a purpose. So you have to interact with fellow contestants. You have to interact with community so that you can actually bring the changes that is required. You have to have conversations. Actually, on my TikTok, that's why I actually started becoming active on TikTok. I actually want to empower other young models, to communicate to them, talk to them. How can you become a model? How can you join this industry? How can you set yourself apart even as a model? So all these platforms are actually giving me an opportunity to communicate with people. Platforms like Miss Universe Kenya. I was actually Miss UN Parklands in 2019, and platforms like that give you an opportunity to stand before people because they can actually hear you because you have a title, you get. So you can actually now bring conversations, change the stories because you have that platform. Yeah.
Tell me about your biggest accomplishment with modeling.
Biggest accomplishment. So I think can I share maybe 2 or 3? Yeah. So I do. I've done runway, I've done commercials, and I've done pageantry.
Swamia tu hapo. Kabla tuendelee.
Okay.
Tell us the difference.
The difference.
Kuna mtu hapo anashanga. Commercial runway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So runway modeling, the models you actually see who showcase outfits. So for runway, it's not necessarily about you, it's about the brand. So you see like in a New York Fashion Week, we've had Nairobi Fashion Week, all those, you're showcasing the brand's outfits, be it the dresses, bags, jewelry. So you just walk on the runway. Actually, watu wanasemanga mbona runway models hawapendi kusmile. It's because it's actually not about you. You're actually showcasing the brand. So you just walk on the runway and you're out. Commercials is the models you see on your TVs, on your billboards. All those are commercial models. And then pageantry is the Mr. and Miss competition. So like Mr. and Miss World, Miss Universe, Mr. and Miss the university. So UN, JQuat, all that. That is pageantry. Then there's also fashion models, those who work with brands for just maybe shoots and all that. So to answer now your question, I think my biggest accomplishment, for example, in commercial, is working with brands such as Nice and Lovely. Currently, I'm actually on TV for an ad for 2 years with Nice and Lovely. So that is such a really, really big accomplishment. For fashion modeling, I've worked with international brands. There's one called Opoli. I've been able to work with them. Then in terms of beauty pageant, I was actually a contestant in Miss Universe Kenya again in 2019. I was among the top 10. So that was really a really big achievement for me, and I really thank God for that. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So how do you hope to incorporate, because I'm now looking at how to land the ship. I think to land the plane, I land ship Grace. Anyway, I'm thinking a way to land the plane, and I will want you to probably paint a picture of how do you wish to incorporate what you do in modeling with what you do in your advocacy, that is advocating for the children. How do you hope to marry them?
The good thing is I'm actually now in Miss Universe Kenya, and as I said, such pageants give you a platform to actually now merge the two, because apart from modeling, apart from looking good, dressing good, it gives you a platform to actually advocate for a cause. It gives you, they actually support you towards your cause. So I am really hoping that I become Miss Universe Kenya this year, and hopefully also Miss Universe, and take Kenya to the world, because I know that such platforms will actually help me now merge the two and be able to fight for my cause in terms of education.
What changes, or rather what improvement would you like to see government, the government, different organizations address in human rights?
In human rights. First things first, I think for the various organizations, especially those who do human rights activism, I think we should also focus on kids with special needs. I think that is something that has not been highlighted. We see a lot of poor, marginalized communities, which is actually a genuine cause, but we also need to see more of how do we help kids with special needs. So that's something that I would urge organization to look into. For the government, I think as a lawyer, laws are beautiful. Oh, the laws that we have are very beautiful. But without implementing those laws, they're just, words on paper. So I'd really, really love to see implementation of laws in Kenya that will help in such areas in human rights activism. I would really love to see the government taking the first step in terms of ensuring that our children with special needs are catered for in all aspects, from health to education, so that we can be able to change the story and make Kenya a better place.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you take care of your well-being now that you do 1 million plus things? How do you take care of your well-being and ensure that you don't have burnout?
As I said before, I think one thing that really grounds me is the fact that I am Christian and I have a relationship with God. And more often than not, I usually find my rest in God. Like when things are tough, kwanza with adulting, adulting came with a lot of challenges. And when things are tough, I really, really find my rest in God. Apart from that, I really enjoy friendship, and my friends are my safe place. So whenever I feel like I'm burnt out, actually, I rarely allow myself to burn out, because I'll always create time to actually unwind. I go out with my friends, go eat, play games. That is something I really love to do. Also, hanging out with family is something that really helps me, just calm down, unwind, and take everything in. So yeah, that's what I do.
I pray that you get the Miss Universe.
Amen.
But this brings me to my, I think, almost final question, so that we wrap up the conversation. With or without Miss Universe, with or without you being Miss Universe, what would you want people to remember you for?
I think I would want people to remember me as a lady who wasn't afraid to dream big. I am a big dreamer. I used to tell people that I will one day be on the Victoria's Secret runway. Like, I'm a big dreamer. I don't let things limit me from my dream. So I want people to remember me as a dreamer, and not only a dreamer, someone who actually took the step and ran after their dreams with all they got, because nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible with God. And if you dream and work hard and go towards it, imagine you'll achieve it. And I'm actually hoping that Miss Universe is actually a faith journey, and I'm hoping that I actually become Miss Universe Kenya and Miss Universe, because this will be a chance to show people that with faith and believing in yourself, write the biggest dreams and run for it, you'll definitely get it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, finally, where do you hope to see yourself in the future?
Where do I hope to see myself in the future? I believe I actually have a heart for leadership and not politics. So maybe you'll be seeing me in the political scene, because change starts with an individual. And apart from talking about it, apart from saying I want the government to do this, maybe I want to be the government so that I can be able to be in that position to actually make a change. So yeah, maybe I'll be there. Hopefully I'll be married with my kids somewhere. Yeah, so that is where I see myself in the future.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Asante
You want to
sana.
let us know where we can find you before nianze kupata tena ideas za maswali zingine?
Yes, and before I let you know where you can find me, guys, I need your support. I actually before yesterday, I was top 30 in Miss Universe Kenya. So there were votes happening, and then I managed to get in the top 20. So I am going to boot camp from Saturday. So I really pray that you guys support me, share my journey with me. Follow me on my Instagram at Stacy_Sang and TikTok at Stacy Sang, because I'll be sharing my journey throughout this boot camp. I want to take you guys along, so I need your support. Yeah.
Are people voting?
Yeah, they were actually voting. The voting ended yesterday, and the top 20 were now announced. But there might be another voting soon. That's why I need the following. So you can just follow along the whole journey. I am a content creator, as I said, so I'll be creating good content along the way. I'll be taking you along the journey as much as is possible, because I also want to use this platform to actually uplift other models who are, hoping to be in such platforms. So follow this journey with me, guys. I'm sure it's going to be a very fun journey, and I can't wait to see you all. Yeah.
What keeps you moving? Finally.
What keeps me moving? I think my mother. my mother, like so I've been raised by a single mom. This is something that I don't mind sharing a lot. And she's the reason why I work extremely hard, because I've seen her work hard for me. Like Maliniko Sai, my mom has sacrificed so much. So I really want to, I look up to her. I want to give her the best life she could ever have. I want to give myself the best life I could ever have. And I want to give my children the best life they could ever get, because I've seen it from my mother, so I want to pass it down. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, before the other get an idea, Zingida, we have to go. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
for coming.
Thank you
for the conversation.
Asante pia, asante sana.
That was Stacey San. We are winding up that conversation there. I don't want to add anything, minus anything. I don't want to water it down. It will be uploaded on our YouTube channel just in case you missed some part of it, or you just want to repeat and see it and watch it again and again on Y254 channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Hizo vitu zote zenye wanasemanga on YouTube. But then again, I need to remind you that we have the question of the day on our social media handles. That's what Val is coming to tackle. But from Empowerment Cafe, that has been us. Have a lovely day.